The last few years have been challenging for many of us, especially for clergy and those who serve in the church, and have made us consider how is it that we bounce back and respond to the challenges that we face. In this video, I'm going to share some results from my research that I did with Canadian clergy regarding what type of resources did they find supportive. Not surprisingly, there are many different aspects of spiritual resources that clergy found supportive, things like spiritual disciplines and practices, their sense of calling, their relationship with God, and their sense of partnering with God in the midst of their ministry. A couple other resources that I want to share with you that may not be so obvious, but are really important to clergy. Some of these are what we call relational supports, and this is just really the importance of relational connections and the ways in which they support and help clergy to be resilient. Big one for those who might be married is, of course, a spouse. They were a key partner and mentioned very frequently by participants in my study. And just as far as somebody who really helped partner with them, who shared the load, who helped give perspective, all kinds of different aspects of that. But other family members were also important. And this could be things like adult children or parents or things like that, but particularly those who understood a ministry and were a space in which the pastor or minister could share about what the challenges that they were facing. Friends, of course, are support to us. For clergy, this involved things like long-term friends, people who had nothing to do with their ministry, but just really had been there for them and supported them, and maybe didn't see them in their clergy role, but just were there as a support for them. Of course, friendship within the church can be a bit complicated for clergy, but for some people, this was very supportive with the consideration of the boundaries and that there may be some aspects that they can't share with those friends out of both care for their friends, but also just recognition of their role and how it there might be some things that can't be shared. Peers are a big support for clergy. Of course, we know of things like, ministerials and things like this. But the important part was really just that there was space to share with other like-minded individuals, people who got ministry, people who could share resources. We also know that peer competition can be a challenge for this, that competition sort of among churches and with other pastors can hinder this. And so it's really important for clergy to have that support and find people that they feel comfortable with among their peer group, and be able to engage with them. And mentors were another one that, again, were so important for clergy. Again, people who are in ministry who got it, but could also just offer, not just as a peer, but as somebody who is just a little bit farther along, some guidance and some insight into ideas on how situations might be handled and approached. And so those were really important. Another category that falls more into the professional support aspect was aspects of professional support from people like a spiritual director, a formal spiritual director, or a professional therapist. And these relationships provided a sense of safety and neutrality and also confidentiality. And so many clergy engaged in those and found them really beneficial to their resilience and well-being. Of course, there's a number of different practices that clergy also highlighted, things like balance. Ministry life can become all-consuming, and so a number of folks just identified how important it was for them to be able to find balance between their personal lives and ministry demands and being able to do that. Of course, that then comes with something we call boundaries, or the ability to say no, because a ministry can become all-consuming. That was a really important part of the journey for many clergy people and part of their well-being. And then, of course, just simply thinking about taking care of your health. And this is everything from getting good exercise, nutrition, sleep, seeing a doctor or a healthcare professional when needed. And when those things are taken care of, they are a resource that supports clergy well-being. So those are a few of the resources. There were many others, but a few of them I want to invite you to think about. And as you think about how you're doing right now, think about what resources do you have in your life? And maybe consider what are some that maybe it maybe is a time and a season to enhance. It's been a very stressful time, and you may be struggling, and so it can be a season where you consider increasing or re-engaging or engaging anew with some resources that you haven't in the past. So I'd encourage you to think about that. I want to recommend a book if you're interested in this topic around resilience in ministry. It's called Resilient Ministry by Burns, Chapman, and Guthrie. And this is a book, again, some research done about flourishing in ministry and really covers some similar themes and ideas. So I want to encourage you to think about that. Thank you.